We are live. Hey guys, Stephanie Rochelle here, your life coach, relationship and rehab specialist. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what makes love last. What makes love last? What makes love last? That's what we're talking about today. I'm trying to reach a lot of different types of topics because, I got single people on the line. I got married people on the line. So I'm trying to hit everybody. So today, if you're not married or whatever, if you're in a relationship, still listen. Next Monday, it may be you for the single people. You know what I'm saying? So just keep listening in. I think everybody, hopefully you'll get some value from it. So today we're going to talk about what makes love last. Because basically, I think when you get together in a relationship, you got to learn the biggest thing I think you need to learn is how to fight fair. What I'm hearing from a lot of couples is, when they get mad, they fight below the belt, say some things they probably really shouldn't say. So again, if you remember a couple weeks ago, I talked about knowing how to respond and react. We got to learn how to do that differently. We got to learn how to do that differently, people. I mean, I think it's the thing. I think it's the thing that'll help us. Today we're talking about what makes love last. So I was trying to figure out which kind of different ways I was going to go about doing this, but it's really different types of people. But one issue in marriage or relationships, just going to get right to it, is criticism. Again, it's how you respond and how you react. So some people, criticism, keeping it real. They just say whatever comes out. And back in the day, that was me, point blank. I wasn't necessarily really trying to hurt anybody's feelings though. But, I didn't know how to kind of go roundabout way in saying some stuff. So some people, if they didn't really know me, knowing I'm coming from a good place, may have taken it wrong, but I didn't necessarily mean it wrong. Okay, so in relationships, if you're critical all the time, you don't really care how it affects the person, how they gonna feel about it. Because you just mad. You just trying to get out what you're trying to say. You don't care. You just really don't care. Being critical. Do I want to be right or do I want to be effective in my communication? Because again, communication, we got to learn how to do that. And one person trying to communicate and the other person being quiet, that's not communication. That's me sounding like I'm just running my mouth and you ain't saying nothing. So we're not really getting anywhere. Because really what we're trying to get to in relationships, when we're discussing things, when we have issues, at the end of the discussion, you're okay and I'm okay. If you're still mad, but I'm okay because I didn't got stuff off my chest, we didn't really communicate. If we can get this communication thing down, y'all, and again, it goes along with fighting fair and learning how to communicate. Because it's all good when we all happy. Everybody happy to see each other when they come home. But when we mad, I'm learning a lot more. Like I was saying before, be quiet. I just try to be quiet a little bit because sometimes it may take me a minute so I can get my words right. And if I don't take that minute, then I may respond in a way that I didn't really want to respond. So again, today we're talking about what makes love last. So being critical with your partner is a problem. Okay, you want to learn different ways in how to say it. You can't be saying, just because you mad at that time and then you think you can forget that they're going to forget that you said that. That's not going to work. That's going to get old eventually. And that's what happens, I think. A lot of people that I've been talking to, been in relationships a long time or been married a long time, now everybody tired. We gotta learn some kind of way to continue to grow and learn each other as we're in the relationship. So if everybody is at the tired point, it's kind of hard for me to now get you back to this loving point. Everybody mad, everybody frustrated. Somebody else over there sounding and looking a whole lot better when really and truly you're gonna get to the same point with them too. So if we can figure out how to do this, learning how to communicate. And just because you've been married a long time does not mean you know how to communicate. Let me just say that right there. Hey, Kathy. Just because you've been married a long time or in a relationship for a long time, or just because you're older, does not mean you know how to communicate. Because what somebody else have allowed you to get away with, you think it's okay with this new person. And everybody communicates differently. So again, when we're getting together in these relationships, you guys, you got to have conversations. You got to have conversations. You got to talk about stuff you like, you don't like. You got to get to know one another so you can learn how people fight. You can learn how people argue and learn to be a better communicator. You can learn how to respond and react when different things arise, because things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. And like I said, it does not, if I'm a communicator, I'm trying to communicate, and my partner or spouse is quiet, that's not communicating. So you got to learn different ways to not be critical. Okay? Another way is on the defense, defensiveness. Defensiveness. Tit for tat. You know, I should have did this. Well, I would have did that if you would have did that. We got to not be defensive. Again, it's a way that you respond and react. And I keep coming back to that, but I didn't realize this. It's really important. How you respond and react to somebody. I mean, it can totally change everything. Being defensive, not responding in a defensive manner. You know, we got to change that. You know, like people say, well, okay, well, this is not anything that people get divorced for. No, but it's what they shut down for. These things that I'm talking about today, eventually over time, people shut down. Then what? Then now you're getting divorced because somebody didn't cheated or they found that soft ear over there. Communicating. Passive is not communicating. That's right. Not saying nothing doesn't fix it either. You got to learn how to do it, but I had to learn how to have a softer approach. You know, because just because my voice starts getting elevated, I'm not really mad. I'm just passionate about what I'm talking about. So if you don't know me, and I thank God for that, my husband he got to know me. Like I said, we talked about a lot of different things before we even decided we were going to try to date. We just talked. We just got to know one another. And nobody does that anymore. People done forgot about the courting. They done forgot about getting to know one another. You know, we just going to see how it's going to go. Well, you can't just see how it's going to go. We got to put some strategy to this dating. We can't just be out here meeting people. It is a process. You have to date with intentions. If you're a relationship person. Now, I got friends that's not relationship people, and they be like, Stephanie, you don't know what you're talking about. But all I know how to do is relationships. Non-communication leads to breakups. That's what I'm saying. Eventually. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm trying to teach us how to make it through the long haul. Like I said, just because you've been married a long time does not mean you know how to communicate. It depends on the partner you chose. And picking that partner is, I mean, you got to take some time to figure that thing out. So far what we got? We got stop being critical and stop being defensive. These are problems, okay? We talking about making marriage last. So we got to do away with these. We got to learn how to do this better. We got to learn how to respond and react, and we have to date with intention. That's right. That's right. That's what I mean when I say you got to know how to say next. We grown. We older. So if these people coming in, you trying to date, they don't even want to go through any of this. You know, they say that everybody says they want a relationship online. At least I know about online. Everybody online want a relationship. I can put you through some steps right now, and you know they don't want a relationship. They don't want to talk. They don't want to court. They don't want to date. They don't want to get to know one another. You know, they just want to go out and see if we click. That's one day. I click with everybody. I'm likable. So then what? So before we even did all that, we just talked on the phone. But again, now when you get into this thing, you decide this is a person, okay, we seem to get along. We have a lot of fun. Now you got to figure out how to do this thing. You got to learn how to respond and react differently. Like I tell people, you got to be quiet sometimes. You got to pray before you speak. You got to just wait a second. Okay? The next thing we talking about is contempt. Contempt. You know, like an example they have here, they say, old couple say, we still standing, we still together, 50 years. So, I mean, are you in a happy relationship? Are you in a toxic relationship? What type of relationship is still standing? Just because you're still together, that just means somebody agreeing to disagree. I did that for years. That was not healthy. I was not coming into this one doing that. Again, discussions, conversations, contempt. We're trying to make sure, you guys, when we're discussing stuff, I'm okay and he's okay at the end of us discussing something. If I'm okay, Stephanie said everything she wanted to say, so I'm good. And he doesn't get a chance to say anything because I'm just running the conversation. That's not I'm okay and he's okay. The end goal is to get to I'm okay and he's okay. Whatever we're discussing, whatever we're talking about, whatever issues, you know, has arisen, or maybe no issues, but still in our discussions, he's okay, I'm okay. This is critical. I'm telling y'all, if you just listen to what this respond to react thing is key. You want to be happily standing. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I mean, we don't want to, if we trying to do time, if we trying to continue to learn and grow with each other, we got to start being able to have these discussions. You know, things are going to come up with kids. I have a daughter. He has kids. You know, anything can happen. We have to be able to discuss it. We got to get on the same page. Not Stephanie's page. We got to get on the same page. Okay, and the last thing is stonewalling. They just unengaged. You just in talk. He ain't saying nothing. She ain't saying nothing. He talking. She ain't saying nothing. They just in shut down. How do we push through that? We can't hear each other right now. We just got to take a minute. You know what? Right now, it may not be a good time. You know, we don't seem to be getting on the same page. We don't seem to be able to discuss this subject right now. Let's try it tomorrow. Again, it's how you respond and react. Again, y'all, this is all about dating with intention. When we're out here, you know, meeting and greeting people, you know, these are the things we got to be talking about. We got to figure out, can they communicate? Because for me, communication was big this time. I had to have it. I needed to know that we can discuss things. I needed to know that we weren't going to be arguing just because I brought up a subject. Now, sometimes, so that it won't be an argument, I may need to wait a minute. I may need to pray first. I may need to, kind of just mention a little bit and then maybe get back to it the next day, kind of ease into it. It's a way to still get your point across. It don't have to the whole conversation got to be done today. If you see it ain't going right, back up a little bit. Wait a little bit. Let's see what he gonna do. Let's see what she gonna do. We got to get this. We got to get this because especially now getting in relationships older. I mean, we assume that people know how to communicate, but everybody does not know how to communicate. I'm still learning. Hey, Viv, we talking about how to make a marriage last. And so we talked about being critical is a problem. Criticism, how you respond and react. Being defensive is a problem. And basically, we talking about learning our mates. We got to take the time, if we want to do a relationship, to learn our mates. We're talking about dating with intention. Not just out here just meeting people and then hoping they fall into something. No. No, we got to have conversations. We got to have conversations. The other thing was contempt. So when we discussing stuff, if I'm okay and he's not okay or vice versa, we're not okay. He has to be okay and I'm okay. Eventually, if we don't get to that point, I'm okay, he's okay, it's going to become a problem over time. I'm trying to teach us techniques on how to get through this over time. Not every 2 years we having to start over, because that's the whole point. Nobody wants to say next. Now, everybody can start over if it's not working. That makes it easy. We ain't getting along, next. But if you were getting along, then all of a sudden now in 2 years, y'all quit learning each other. Y'all quit talking to each other. This is a continual thing. So so what if you're already married and what? You're not getting along? What do you ask me? What if you're already married? If you're already married and what? Be a little bit more specific for me so I can answer you correctly. So the 4 things were being critical, being defensive, contempt, and stonewalling. That's what we were talking about here today. And so we got a question. So techniques to get through Are we talking about learning how to communicate? Communication issues. That's what I'm trying to give you. I'm trying to give you techniques. Okay, so if you're critical, I'm trying to say we have to learn how to respond differently. Okay, so for example, if you're in a discussion and then you start bringing up old stuff, you start because he used to do this or he used to do that, so now you're calling them names. Okay, critical is possibly manipulative. Okay, you trying to manipulate somebody. We basically, it boils down to, again, guys, with the manipulation, the critical, we got to figure out who we're dealing with, and everybody's critical sometime. You know, this is what I'm not saying. You have to just figure out, like, everything about him, can I deal with this person? Everything about me, can he deal with me? Okay? Because what's happening is, what I'm finding and talking to more and more people out here, 10 years later, now everybody's tired. I don't want to do this no more. So when I was choosing my next mate, when he was choosing me, we were having those discussions. So, for instance, we had both come from relationships that argued. So he didn't want to argue, I didn't want to argue. So we had to learn how to communicate. But when I say my husband meant it, he would say, it sounds like you're trying to argue, Stephanie. I mean, it seems like, so you cannot argue by yourself. So I had to learn how to respond and react differently and still get my point across. That's what I mean about communication. Everybody communicates differently. I don't know who I'm dealing with I would have to have a scenario to tell you how to respond differently to you. I can't just say communication issues. I would have to know exactly what your problem is. I would have to take you through a scenario and to tell you how to react differently. I can only tell you without knowing your exact scenario. And if you want to talk about it more, then I can break it down a little bit more for you. But just to say communication issues, what type of communication issues? What can't you communicate? I promise you it has something to do with how you respond and how you're reacting. If you blowing up, that's a problem. If you blowing up, that's a problem. If you cannot take that deep breath before you say something, if you coming off harsh, again, being critical, these are the 4 points. Being defensive, the person that you're trying to communicate with, you're trying to come at a softer approach, but they're being defensive because they're used to the old way. So when you try to change and respond differently, but they're used to you being mad, you know, coming at them at a different way, you know, they're assuming that's how you eventually gonna come. So that's how they already got the defense up. You see what I'm saying? You have to make the choice first to change. I'm trying to respond and react differently. I'm trying to respond and react differently because I believe that's the key to a whole lot of it. Contempt, again, I'm okay and you're okay. After we're talking about this problem, are we both okay? Can we move on? I mean, like, that's done. We done solved it. Or do we need to come back the next day and pick it up? Because it's something, too, when they say you shouldn't go to bed angry. I mean, nobody is going to be just mad. Because for one, I can't sleep like that. I can't sleep like that. Alex will be over there snoring, and I'm just, like, tossing and turning, can't even sleep. That's not going to work. We're going to have to wake up and, like, and have some more discussion. I can't do that. So you got to know when you have to date with intention. I'm going back to it again. Again, we're just out here and we're just hoping that it's going to work out with this person. And then now you come to me and we're talking 10 years later. Stephanie, I don't want to do this no more. Okay, so what's changed? What has changed? Because a lot of it, he seems to be exactly how he's always been. So now you just tired. So we just gonna end it? Because I'm telling you, I done did this thing for 30 years before. You're going to get tired. You're going to be in you're going to be in love. All of these things going to happen when you're in it for the long haul. So what we going to do? We just going to keep moving on to the next person? We got to learn how to communicate. We got to learn how to respond and react. We got to have fun. If you're having a lot of fun, when you're having a little bit of problem, the fun is going to outweigh the little bit of problem. But again, it goes back to dating with intention. We have to be discussing all this stuff before we're deciding to get married. I don't care if you have never been married and you 50 years old and you meet somebody. We do not have to, just because they want to date us, if these things are not flushing out, we got to say next. We got to say next. Because I'm trying to get you to the fairy tale. Whatever the fairy tale looks like for you, I'm trying to get you there. But I'm trying to give you these things that you have got to do, that I took the time to do, and it seems to be working. And if it doesn't work, you know what? I'm dealing with somebody that's going to work with me, and we're going to work it out. How can you get someone to communicate? Again, we're going back to what are they? Are they stonewalling? Are they shut down? You know, how are you going about trying to communicate? How are you going about trying to communicate? Are you being critical? Are you being a little bit softer? Are you coming at a different angle? Are you praying before you speak? Because God, the words will be given right to you exactly what to say. You got to change you first. You have to change you first. So if you are having a problem communicating with somebody, look at yourself. I had to learn how to respond and react differently. I'm telling you. You saying they shut down? Okay, well, people that shut down, they can't hear you anyway. So it's not a good time. You got to try it again. You got to come back at another time. Maybe try a different location. You need to pray. I pray all the time. All the time. Today, for you guys that are just coming in, we're talking about what makes love last. And we're talking about responding and reacting differently. And I keep beating this, I just keep beating it up because it is so important, you guys. We cannot be critical. We can't be defensive. We got to make sure at the end of the discussion that I'm okay and he's okay. Otherwise, all of this stuff is going to come back, eventually over time, and it's going to become a problem. And ain't nobody going to know what happened. We're going to be like, what happened? I thought we was getting along. I thought we was having a good time. All this stuff then built up. Nothing has really been solved. Trust me, I have agreed to disagree in a long-term relationship. It got me nowhere. So I'm telling you, you got to learn how to communicate. You got to learn how to fight fair. That's another thing that I keep getting in the argument, because you're going to argue, you're going to disagree. Try to be quiet. Don't say what you want to say. Don't say that. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Sometimes you can't take it back. Sometimes you can't take it back. Then what? Over time, not fighting fair, that's going to get old. 5 years down the road, what do we have? It's a problem. Somebody tired. Just like they called me, Stephanie, I don't want to do this no more. You got to change and grow. 5 years from now, I'm going to be a different Stephanie. So me and Alice got to change and grow. We got to keep talking. We got to keep communicating. I met Alex, y'all. I go fishing. I didn't fish. I didn't fish. I'm on pontoon boats with friends, and he loves that. That's how he likes to relax. I relax by going to play tennis. I like to go to the movies. So we go to the movies. I go fishing on the pontoon boat. You got to figure it out. How did you learn to let go of the past? Well, that was easy. That wasn't a good place. But I worked on me. When I went into the new relationship, I spent time getting to know Stephanie, figuring Stephanie out, and trying to make Stephanie better. We're all nice people, but sometimes our niceness really comes out with a different type of mate. You know, there are different types of, you know, there are selfish people, there are manipulative people, and there are people that just want to make you smile. There are givers. I'm a giver. Alex is a giver. So we're actually 4 days apart. So, you know, our personalities are very similar. So it was real easy from the beginning. But even though it was real easy, I'm like, no, this is too easy. I'm like, we had a lot of discussions. And the thing about being in past relationships, bringing that into the next relationship, you bringing that baggage in, you gotta take some time to figure out what happened and how you need to make some changes. Because you need to make some changes, not just the other person. Fishing is good. Yeah, it's fun now, but I mean, it's something that I was okay doing, but it's something that I didn't really do before. I mean, I grew up doing it when I was a little girl, but I hadn't done that in years. But I was willing to do it. Now, he can stay out there all day. I hadn't got to that point now. I ain't got to the all day thing, but a few hours fishing is fun for me and the kids, and everybody enjoys it. It's something we can all do together. So that's what that was. Let me see. Did I answer your question? Okay, when it's always been thrown in. Okay, now that's different. When the past is being thrown in your face. Okay, so that person doesn't want to grow and change. So if you're changing, they shouldn't be able to keep saying the same stuff that you have tried to fix. Because we all working on some stuff. So if you're trying to respond and react differently, or whatever it is that you're trying to do differently, but they're still talking about what you did always, you need to call them on that. It's like, what you're talking about is old. I have not done this. I have not shown this. You know what I mean? And see how they respond. Because maybe they're just not noticing that you're doing it differently. Because maybe that's how they're used to reacting. Does that make sense? Because I know about that too. You know. We try not to bring up stuff, but we're human. But I'm saying, if you're working on you changing, and maybe they just have not realized, or you only got it right twice, but you still coming the other way, 3-4 times. You know what I mean? We still working on it. Yeah. So they may have not noticed that you made those changes. So I would say, I would let it be known. Now you see how I came about saying that this time? Before I would have done this. Now, you know what I'm saying? Because maybe they're just not recognizing, because they're just so used, especially after you've been together a long time. I know for me, they were looking for me to respond a certain way. And when I was quiet, they'd be like, wait a minute, she quiet. No, I'm ready for her to say something. I ain't saying a word. Because you get tired of going back and forth. Coach Stephanie. Well, thank you. I hope you do. I'm trying to help. Anybody got any questions? This is what I wanted to talk about today, what makes love last. But I mean, you may have another question for me. We're talking about relationships on Monday. We're talking about mindset, changing your mindset, not always having to do things a certain way. I'll tell you, change your mindset, change your life. I promise you. Once I got that, mindset is key. Got people home today. Mindset is key. You guys need to know anything? Come on, what you got? What you got? What you got? We talked about principles of a good marriage or a good relationship. Past issues, we talked about that. What else? I'm trying to come up with the formula for living happily ever after. But I promise you guys, if you would just respond and react differently, if you would just be quiet sometimes, if you would just be different, I promise you. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Wait. Patience. Fight fair. Don't be critical. I'm okay. He's okay. That's what we're trying to do. Not be all about Stephanie, not be all about Alex, because that's not going to work. It's not going to work. I don't care who sit up here and tell you whatever. If you sit with them in a session, they are trying to correct those things, because it doesn't work. Selfish people, run. Like I said last week, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It has to be a give and a take. But everybody has to be working on themselves. I can't just be working on Stephanie and then the other person think they're going to still be the same, person. That's not going to work. For us to work, if we're trying to do this relationship rehab, we're trying to go from 5 years to 10 years. I'm different 5 years from now. So we got to be working and growing and changing and trying to be a better person. If we're not, one person is going to go past the other person. They still going to be over here talking about the old stuff that we used to fuss about. We already all the way over here. You still talking about old stuff. So if you're not growing and changing together, you're going to get to the point that you call me saying, I don't want to do this no more. And I'm going to say, did you pray? I mean, what happened all of a sudden? They seem to be the way they've always been to me. Are you just tired? What about you do you need to change? Maybe you can respond differently. Now, when you've done everything you can, when you've tried everything you can't do it by yourself. But for the most part, I'm gonna try to work it out with you. But if you I can't do it by myself though. Definitely prayer. I pray a lot. Because I'm trying to continue on this path. I don't want to go back to the old ways. We're supposed to be getting better, growing. I'm trying to have a good time. I'm able to, and that's another thing. When you're with the right partner, like this I'm doing now, this coaching, this is something I've been trying to do for years. And with some people, it's just not time to do it then. And now I'm able to walk in some stuff that I have been trying to do for years. It depends on, again, dating with intentions. It's serious. Otherwise, when you're with the person you're supposed to be with, I should be adding value to him and he should be adding value to me. Value is what we're trying to get. Value is what I'm trying to give you. I'm telling you about what I've been through, what I know. At what point do you just say it's time to move on? You can't do it by yourself. Then sometimes you have to. You can't do it by yourself. Both of you have to want to work on it. That's why I say you're changing, growing, they're changing, growing. But you got to continue to date. You got to continue to stay connected. Once you get disconnected, then you got to try to do things to come back together to get connected. But see, now everybody mad. Ain't nobody even having fun no more. Ain't nobody even having fun no more. You got to still go out. You got to stay connected. You ain't had sex in a year. You got to get back connected. Because I'm telling you, if you don't fix this stuff, guys, I'm so serious about it. When you go into the next relationship, same thing. It's going to be great in the beginning. Everything's new. Eventually, you got to respond and react with somebody. You got to communicate with somebody. You got to learn how to fight fair. Everything I'm telling you, you got to not be critical. You got to not be on the defense. It's the same stuff when you with somebody day in and day out. You have got to learn how to communicate. You got to come from a different angle. You have to date with intention. And the hardest thing for me, like when we mad, we don't want to continue to lead with love. But it's about the only thing that's going to change that thing. You can't keep being the same way. Up, see, there he go again. Nuh-uh. You got to keep coming with love. You got to check yourself in the situation. So at the end of the day, I can say, well, I tried. I continued to lead with love. I continued to be positive. I wasn't negative. I wasn't critical. I responded and reacted in a loving way. It's key. It's key. I keep honing in on it But if you guys, anybody that's on this live, if you've been married a long time or in a long time relationship, I need some response. I need some response for some long timers. For some long timers. Hey, Mark, what we're talking about is what makes love last. Principles of a good marriage. Responding and reacting differently. Hey, Celeste. Responding and reacting differently. Coming with love no matter what. Everybody just want to get tired because everybody tired, but you still got to fix it when you go into the next relationship. You still got to fix it. You still got to change you. Because that person, they got some baggage from where they've been before. You got baggage from where you're coming from. You still got to fix it. Before you know it, you're responding in the same way. When we first got together, we both said we didn't want to argue, Alex and I. I guess the way I was saying some stuff, he would say, I think you trying to argue? He meant that thing. We were not going to argue. We were going to communicate. You know what I had to do? Change how I was coming. I had to change. I wasn't necessarily trying to argue, but I guess my tone or something, I had to change. It sounded like it may be coming to an argument, and like we're both Leos. So I responded differently. And we get along great, but I'm saying nobody gets along all the time. You got to have discussions. Bottom line, it's a joint venture. You can't do it alone. You can't do it by yourself. You cannot fix anything by yourself. I don't care, even if you go to the counselor, if you are not both two engaged couples, talking to the counselor, it's still not going to work. Because the counselor is going to give y'all advice on how to come together, how to reconnect. That's what I'm going to do as a coach. I'm going to tell you how to reconnect. So if you're trying to do it, but they're not trying to do it, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. But you know what? Nobody wants to say next. Nobody wants to start over either. Nobody wants to start over. Because that's a whole nother thing, And I coach on that as well because I had to do it. But you gotta try. Because I'm gonna ask you all of that. I'm gonna ask you all of that. Just because you're tired, you gotta go to somebody else for that. Just because you're tired, no. Because you gotta work on yourself. You gotta work on yourself. Because I promise you, he tired of you too, and both of y'all just didn't change and grow at the same time. But that's the effort that you gotta make. Do I have any long timers? I saw Richard on here. I saw Mark on here. I got some long timers on here. Y'all want to say something? Give them another point of view. Well, I hope this added some value for you guys. I hope you understand what I'm trying to get you to see. Oh, and I have some exciting news every Wednesday from now on, 8:30 to 9:30. Myself and Dee Renee, she's a therapist. We're going to be going live on Wednesdays on our business page, though. My business page is Stephanie Rochelle Consulting on Facebook. We're going to be going live, meeting in the ladies' room, fishbowl conversations. I'm telling you, so just start thinking about what you guys want to be talking about. Right now, I'm coming to you with the topics, trying to pull some questions out of you guys, trying to help you guys, trying to add value. But on Wednesdays, on my business page now, not my personal page, Stephanie Rochelle Consulting. If you have not friend requested me, go ahead and do that. Because this Wednesday, 8:30 to 9:30, we will be going live. Fishbowl conversations. Meeting in the ladies' room. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be raw. It's going to be raw. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. Again, she's a transformational specialist. I'm a relationship rehab specialist. We're going to get this thing right. We're going to be talking to ladies. Anything you want to know, anything you want to ask, Wednesdays is the day. She's a licensed therapist and I'm a life coach. So between the two of us, we're going to get it done on Wednesdays. That should be a lot of fun. If it's not any more questions, I want to thank you again for joining Mindset Monday. I hope it added value. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. Talk to you soon. Bye.